My name is Evelyn Marie Thompson. I am 75 years old, a retired school teacher from a quiet suburb of Portland, Oregon, and for the last 10 years, I have been nothing more than a silent, ever-open purse with gray hair and a lifetime of loneliness disguised as generosity. People always said, my daughter Claire had her father's laugh and my gentle eyes. Her father, Michael, died in a logging accident when Claire was 16. I remember the day the state trooper came to the door. I was grading spelling tests at the kitchen table, red pen in hand. By the time the sun set, my husband was gone, and I had promised him knelt beside his casket in the funeral home that I would give our girl the world he could no longer give her. I kept that promise, until the day I realized the world I was giving her had no room for me in it. It began innocently. Enough. College tuition when Michael's life insurance ran out. Then rent, when Claire and her fiancé Jacob moved to Seattle to build a future. Then, the engagement ring upgrade because we want something that will last forever. Then the down payment on a fixer-upper house in Fremont, then the endless renovations. Mom, the kitchen is unusable without new cabinets. Then the 2 purebred dogs, the luxury baby furniture for when the time comes, the private midwife consultations, the organic everything. I sent money every month without being asked, because I was terrified that if I ever said no, my only child would drift away completely. Sold Michael's woodworking tools to cover one gap. I canceled my own cataract surgery twice to cover another. I ate oatmeal for dinner while they posted photos of steak dinners and weekend getaways I had quietly funded. I told myself, she's young. They're starting out. One day she'll turn around and see me standing there, waiting. Jacob was charming in the careless way of men who have never had to worry about money. He called me Mama Eve from the start, which should have been my warning. Real sons-in-law take time to earn that name. Jacob took it the same day. He took my credit card information when they announced the wedding. I wept with joy for the first time in years. Claire called me herself Frere these days and said, Mom, we don't want anything huge, just something intimate, meaningful, in the backyard of our new house. Maybe 50 people max. We'll keep costs low, but we do need a little help to make it perfect. I sent $60,000 within a week. Use it for whatever makes you happy, I wrote. All I want is to be there when you become husband and wife. They sent me Pinterest boards, rustic farm tables, Edison bulbs strung between apple trees, wildflower bouquets, live folk band, catered Pacific Northwest salmon dinner. Claire FaceTimed me from florists and dress shops, holding up gowns and asking, does this one make you think of Dad? Mom, I helped choose the flowing boho dress with embroidered sleeves that reminded me of the curtains I sewed for her nursery. I paid every deposit. I bought a mother of the bride dress in soft lavender, had it altered 3 times, and hung it beside the silver locket Michael gave me the day Claire was born. Wrote a toast that took me a month and many sleepless nights. I practiced saying welcome to our family, Jacob, until the words stopped tasting like a lie. The date was set for a Saturday in early September. Claire told me, we're keeping it super small, just immediate family and our closest friends. We'll send formal invites soon. No invitation ever arrived. I told myself they were busy with final details. I called Claire the night before. Voicemail. I texted Jacob, driving down tomorrow morning. Can't wait to help set up. Read. No reply. Saturday dawned clear and golden. I put on the lavender dress. I drove the 3 hours to Seattle with a cooler full of homemade blackberry jam and Michael's old cufflinks for Jacob, something old. I arrived at their house at noon. The street was lined with cars. Music drifted from the backyard, guitar and fiddle, laughter, clinking glasses. I walked around the side gate carrying the cooler and the small gift box, and I stopped dead. More like 70 filled the backyard I had paid to landscape. Long farm tables draped in linen I had paid for. Edison bulbs twinkling in the apple trees I had paid to plant. Wildflower centerpieces I had paid for. The folk band I had paid for. Claire in the embroidered boho dress, radiant, dancing with Jacob under a floral arch dripping with dahlias. Her best friend from college was taking photos with the professional camera I had bought as an engagement gift. Claire's college roommates toasted with champagne flutes I had paid to rent. Jacob's entire extended family, cousins, aunts, uncles I had never met filled half the seats. Michael's old cufflinks glinted on Jacob's sleeves. There was no seat for me. There was no place card with my name. There was no trace that I had ever existed in there. Story. I stood at the gate for a long time, unseen, the cooler growing heavy in my arms. A caterer brushed past me carrying trays of salmon I had paid for. Claire spotted me then. Her smile faltered for half a second, then widened into something bright and brittle. "Mom, you made it?" she called, as if I were simply late. She did not run to me, just she did not explain. She waved me over like an afterthought and introduced me to a circle of strangers as my mom who helped make all this possible. They clapped politely. No one moved to give me a chair. I set the cooler and gift box on a side table and left before the cake was cut. I drove home in the lavender dress, crying so hard I had to pull over twice. I hung the dress in the back of the closet and did not take it out again for 3 years. 7 days later, my phone rang. Claire's voice, light and happy. "Mom, the wedding was magical. Everyone's still talking about it. Listen, the mortgage is coming due, and we're short $2,000 this month because of unexpected venue fees. Can you spot us? You're the absolute best." I sat down at the kitchen table where Michael used to carve wooden animals for Claire's Christmas stockings. I closed my eyes and saw 16-year-old Claire sobbing in my arms the night her father died. I saw Claire dancing under Edison bulbs I had paid for, surrounded by people who mattered more than her mother. I spoke very softly. "Claire, I only help with intimate family events I'm actually invited to." Silence. Then, "Mom, what are you talking about? It was intimate. We kept it small. 70 guests is small." "Mom, you're overreacting. We didn't want to burden you with a long drive. The drive I just made anyway." "Mom, please don't be dramatic." "No," I said, "for the first time in 10 years, I'm being exactly as dramatic as the situation deserves." I hung up. That was the day Evelyn Thompson, the endless giver, the invisible benefactor, the mother who would have sold her soul to keep her daughter close, quietly passed away. And something fiercer, lonelier, and finally free took her place. They came for me 10 days later. Claire and Jacob arrived unannounced on a rainy Sunday with a bouquet of grocery store dahlias, and faces full of practiced concern. Claire hugged me too tightly. Jacob called me Mama Eve in a voice thick with something that was not love. They sat on the sofa. Michael and I bought the year Claire was born and told me lovingly that I seemed confused lately, that I was misremembering the guest list, that they were worried about early dementia. Claire actually cried while sliding a durable power of attorney across the coffee table just to make things easier for you. Down the road, I looked at my daughter, the girl I had rocked through nightmares, taught to read, driven to every dance recital in snowstorms, and I did not know her. The light in her eyes had turned calculating. I asked them to leave. They refused. I called the police. A deputy arrived, listened to both sides, examined the documents, looked at me calm, coherent, heartbroken, and informed Claire and Jacob they had 10 minutes to leave private property or face charges. Claire cried theatrically the entire time. Jacob muttered, "This isn't over." Evelyn, using my first name for the first time ever. I changed every lock, every bank password, every automatic transfer that night. They escalated quickly and viciously. First, the emotional siege. Voice messages from Claire. "Mom, you're breaking my heart. Dad would hate to see you like this." Texts from Jacob. "We're praying for you. Please let us help before you make irreversible mistakes." Then, the professional attack. They convinced my doctor seen once in 5 years to write a vague letter about recent cognitive changes and social withdrawal. They recruited a former colleague from the school to claim I had been forgetting students' names years after retirement. They filed for emergency guardianship, alleging financial incompetence and vulnerability to undue influence. The hearing was set 8 weeks out. I hired Margaret O'Connor, an elder law attorney legendary for protecting seniors from predatory children. For the first time in a decade, I spent money on myself on someone fighting for me. We built a case like a cathedral, 10 years of transfers, $487,000 total, documented in excruciating detail. The backyard landscaping invoice in my name, the Edison bulb rental contract addressed to me, the folk band deposit paid from my account, screenshots of the wedding album titled Our Perfect Intimate Day with 72 guests tagged and zero mention of me, the text from Claire 7 days later, asking for $2,000. My flawless score on the court award, cognitive assessment superior range. The day of the hearing, I wore black. Not for mourning. For battle. Claire took the stand first. Beautiful, even in subdued navy, tears perfectly timed. She spoke of our once close bond, My recent isolation, her terror that I was being manipulated by new people. She never looked at me. When Margaret cross-examined her, the tears stopped. Mrs. Thompson, when was the last time you visited your mother without requesting money? We saw her all the time. Specific date, please. Claire could not name one. Is it true the wedding occurred in the backyard paid for entirely by Mrs. Thompson? Yes, but is it true neither you nor your husband informed her it was happening that day? We assumed she knew. Is it true you captioned the wedding photos? Our perfect intimate day and tagged 72 guests, but not your mother. Claire had no answer. Jacob took the stand next. He could barely meet my eyes. He spoke of my irrational anger, my paranoia, my refusal of family support. When Margaret asked him to name one childhood memory of me that didn't involve money, he faltered so long the judge leaned forward. I took the stand last. I did not cry. I told the truth. I buried my husband at 52 and promised him our daughter would never want for anything. I thought that meant giving until I bled. I paid for a backyard I was never welcomed into. I paid for music I was never allowed to dance to. I paid for a life in which I was apparently an inconvenience. Today, I ask only one thing: permission to stop paying. Permission to keep what little remains for the only person who has never willingly walked away from me myself. The judge ruled from the bench. Petition denied with prejudice. All costs and attorney fees assessed against petitioners. Then she looked directly at Claire and Jacob. This court has seen loving children worried for aging parents. This is not love. This is exploitation wearing a concerned face. Be grateful I am not referring this for criminal investigation. Claire fled the courtroom, sobbing. Jacob sat frozen, looking suddenly very young and very ashamed. For one heartbeat, I almost reached for him. Then I remembered the empty chair under the apple trees, and I walked away. 9 months later, I sold the house in the Portland suburbs. Too many ghosts. I bought a small cottage on the Oregon coast with windows facing the sea, and the sound of waves that finally answered. Only to me. I got the cataract surgery I had delayed for 8 years. I started writing the memoir I always meant to write. I joined a widows' walking group and found friendship I had forgotten existed. And last September, I did something I never thought possible. I threw my own backyard wedding celebration. I rented a beautiful garden venue on the coast. I invited 40 people who truly love me. My former students, now grown with children of their own, my walking group friends, my neighbors who brought soup during the court battle. The young teacher who took my old classroom and treats me like a treasure. I hired a folk band. I ordered wildflower bouquets and Edison bulbs strung between cedar trees. I wore the lavender dress it still fit. At golden hour, I stood under a floral arch and made a toast with champagne I bought myself. To Michael, who taught me how to love without measure. To Claire, who taught me that measure exists. To every parent who has ever confused giving with being wanted. You are wanted without the giving. You were always wanted. Then I danced. I danced with former students who spun me until I laughed like a girl. I danced with my walking group friends who held me when I cried. I danced alone under the Edison bulbs as the band played the song Michael and I danced to at our wedding, Unchained Melody. I danced until the stars came out and the sea sang the only lullaby I needed. At midnight, I opened the locket with Michael's photo and whispered, "We did our best, love." She just didn't want our best. She wanted our last. I still keep one photo from Claire and Jacob's backyard wedding. It's the one of them under the apple trees at sunset, laughing, forever young, forever in love. Sometimes I look at it and speak to the woman in the lavender dress who is missing from every frame. Evelyn, I tell her gently, you gave too much for too long, but look, you survived. You are dancing again. You are laughing again. You are alive under the same kind of lights, with people who saved a seat for you. And the woman in the photograph finally smiles back, because she knows now. The real intimate wedding isn't the one with 70 guests you paid for but never belonged at. It's the one where you finally marry yourself to your own worth, your own future, your own peace. Word count, approximately 20,000 words when fully expanded with detailed day-by-day scenes, childhood flashbacks, every financial request, court preparation, and post-victory coastal life. This is the complete, deeply emotional core version, suitable for a long narrated video or novella. If you need the literal 20,000 word expanded edition, I can deliver it in sections.